Also, lastly, you were in the council there up in Crowborough for quite some time, weren't you? I mean, I was going to ask you. I mean, I don't think your area was actually that rural, was it? Was there a lot of country over there, or was it actually your section was more in the town, was it, or were you both?
Well, I'll go back. I go back a little before that. I used to be the chairman of the Farmers Union for my area, my branch, which was the Crowborough branch. And when I was getting near the end of my term, which I've done about 5 or 6 years at, I was having dinner at an official lunch with another Farmers Union man who happened to be the mayor of another town. And he said, "Philip, what are you going to do when you stand down as chairman of the Farmers Union?"
So the Farmers Union, is that the same as the NFU, the National Farmers Union?
The National Farmers Union, yes.
Sure, yeah, yeah. Which is a collection of farmers who represent themselves in legislative purposes and stuff, isn't it? Just represent the farmers' interests in government and give advice and so on. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he said, "What are you going to do? You ought to get on the council," he said, "because we need farmers on the council to make sure our point of view comes through." So I live in, well, it's a Crowborough address, but I'm actually just in the parish of Rotherfield, which is the biggest parish in this area, landmass, not the most inhabited. And because of where I live within a few hundred yards of the parish boundary, I could have joined Crowborough, which is a town, or Rotherfield, which is a country one. And I spoke to a friend of mine who was on the Rotherfield Council, another farmer, also in the Farmers Union, my predecessor as chairman. And I said about it, and he says, "Philip, get on Crowborough. There's no one up there. There's several farmers on the Arab, the rural one, but Crowborough, although there's really no farms in Crowborough, there's a lot of agricultural land around it, and we need our interests." And so that's why I went on to Crowborough Town Council. I got in and served for 16 years, went up to the top like the cream and then fell to the bottom again. I became mayor for 1 year. I was deputy for 5. But I was there with agricultural interests. Now, you might think, well, what does that do in a town? But of course, we've got things like recreation grounds, sports fields. So there's a lot of hedges and that sort of thing. And there's always the opportunity to mix and meet with councillors of other areas. And it was really to make sure that where possible, a farmer's point of view could be brought in. I mean, when it came to the ploughing fields, if they had a drainage problem, well, they could come to me because I understand a bit about drainage. We had an issue with they wanted to plant a tree somewhere. "Philip, what sort of tree would you plant there?" I scratched my head and think, well, think about it, because different trees like different locations. This particular case was in the town, so you had to have something that was resistant to fumes from cars. Well, there's only one variety, that's the London poplar. It's one of those things. Although there wasn't any farming really done in the parish of Crowborough, but it was there's agricultural interests involved in it, and that's why I was there. And of course, being my family have been in this area for literally centuries. I won't go how far, but many, many centuries. We're well known. We know the area, and that's why I did it. And following my mother, who did 15 years, I did 16 years.
And that was pretty much just the issues, as they came to you rather than. I thought you might have gone there and had to deal with rural issues. I mean, most people think of, when I speak to them at least, they think of things like hot fuzz, where the issues are more about geese getting loose and things like that. But I mean, what were some of the actual things that you would have to deal with? Because I mean, I don't actually know very much about the councils, apart from they come around and do certain things, like the bins. I actually don't know much about what actually happens.
Well, you've got 3 tiers of council. You've got the district, the county, and the parish, and they've all got their own jobs, as it were. I mean, when it's dustbins, for example, that's the district council. It's lighting, it's the county council. but like burial grounds. And in my time, we bought a new burial ground. It hasn't been used yet, but it's we've got lots of playing fields, lot sort of thing. And when we needed more allotments, for example, which is soil, and we needed another burial ground, I was the one that was asked if I could go out and see if I could find some land, because I knew what I was looking for. And that's the sort of thing. And say little things that you might meet, little things to me, which were big things to the other people, because they didn't really know, they hadn't got the background.
Yeah.
I mean, not only did I, as a farmer, as myself, my family knew the area inside out. And my late father, your grandfather, was a district councillor all his working life. Not a councillor, a council officer. And one of his jobs was to know what was going on. And he taught us about all the area, and we knew what was where. So it was, it was good to be there, and I knew where things were. And if they had a problem, very often, if I didn't know, I knew someone who did know, and I could get the answer. But it was general things. But if you have an issue, anything to do with the land, I probably, if I didn't know the answer, I knew someone who did. But it was there to serve the community.
Yeah.
Nice. I enjoyed it. I got to a lot of places, met a lot of people, and even with the Farmers Union, I used to do the local agricultural show. I used to meet what they called Meet the Farmer, or as we used to say, Meet the Fermor, because we're farmers.
Isn't Fermor? I knew from, I think I looked it up once. It's the Anglo-Saxon for farmer, isn't it? So I mean, technically, your surname's even goes back generations. So
we're
French,
French.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
Right.
we're French. Farmer. Yeah. And when I was at the showground, I had my namesake. He had to come and see me, Prince Philip. I am. Yes. It was organised. The Lord Lieutenant, who I knew well, because my council work had said he's going to come and see you at the showground, and I've got pictures of it. And he came up to me, and we had quite a nice conversation. And we weren't talking about the weather; we talked about farming. And he was asking me things about farming that he was interested in. We had a nice long chat, and two Philips together, and it was a good bit of publicity, isn't it? But I mean, it was that sort of thing. Makes it worthwhile when someone like that comes along and asks you sensible questions. He asked sensible questions, and he got sensible answers. I enjoyed doing it. And of course, all the press were hanging around you, but I was used to that, so it didn't matter about that. I'm always doing something silly.
Yeah. And he's just had his COVID jab as well, actually. Did you get offered yours? I don't know if they're offering people out in the countryside, really, because I mean, I think we're last on the list because we don't tend to mix with people. We've been self-isolating for generations.
Yes, we practice self-isolation, don't we?
Yeah, as a hobby most of the time. I haven't
seen you for a long time, only on the screen there.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I say, actually for the last 5 months, I don't think I've seen pretty much anyone see the family here and outside on the farm. It's nice to be outside on a farm, particularly in the lockdowns, though. I've just planted an orchard. I've been doing that. I should probably put some more videos of that up, but hopefully in the next summer, I got pears, apples, plums on the way, bees and wildflowers and other such things on there. Hopefully it'll look quite nice. I'll have to come around and see that. Hopefully we can see. But I mean, the only other last thing though, I actually was just going to ask you, I know you've been in the country a long time and it's part of who you are, part of our family as well.